Radiant team, ban. Dire team,
assassin.
pick. Radiant team, pick. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Shadow Demon.
Radiant team, pick. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Mirana.
Dire team, pick. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Disruptor.
Radiant team, ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time. Dire team, ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time. Radiant team, ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the Boston Major Southeast Asian Qualifiers #1. We're going to be taking a look at a wonderful match here. It's Fnatic. Fire
Team ban.
Rascal. Andy, how you doing today?
Radiant team pick.
Well, that's what I'm. Yeah, I'm a little bit caught off guard, a little bit flustered as I was prepared. I don't have any of them. It's fine. We good. It's
10
gonna
seconds
honestly
remaining.
draft right now. We can talk a little bit about the team.
5
Fnatic
seconds
obviously just
remaining.
missed out on that direct invite spot that a lot of people were.
Reserve time.
Instead, they had to go make their way through the regional qualifiers, and then another team that had to make their way through the qualifiers is Dragoon. Just got done with the open qualifiers about like 8 hours ago or something, so they're really coming in fresh.
The admins knew how discontent they were with the way that things were. They had about 8 hours, which means, you know, if you go to sleep awake, you basically have like 5 or 6 hours. You gotta get ready. Maybe they're Dota players, maybe they don't. We don't know that for sure.
Juggernaut.
But getting into the bans and picks, Fnatic opening something fairly aggressive. I'm not sure how I feel about the have Ohio. So I can kind of let that one slide. Fans that Fnatic are really scared of this slash aggressive. They got the Luna. Obviously,
10
Fire
seconds
Dragoon is
remaining.
already having a Shadow Demon strong, and Disruptor,
5
not the greatest
seconds
decoy. They want to play like a style perhaps on the side of Fnatic, and playing those types of lineups, you get
Reserve
murdered by
time.
Deathfall. So they really need to make sure that they don't fall into this trap of not having any. They basically have none right now, and they also need to make the amount of space.
Yeah, and well, it's a little bit interesting then seeing the Fire Dragoon take out the Medusa. So you talk about heroes that are taking advantage of space, sure, Medusa does get that, but also not very mobile, and instead they're going to go for another one of those, I guess you could say pick-off oriented here, the Ursa, but more importantly, big bruiser in there, gives you that roach control. Do they need somebody that can scale a little bit better at this stage, though, out of their mid, potentially?
Black
10
Tiger.
seconds
Um,
remaining.
Fnatic side out.
5 seconds
A lineup that needs
remaining.
can kill.
Reserve time.
Real issue stems from have a true hard carry. I think that Fire Dragoon.
Alchemist.
We don't know if it's going to be. Now it's kind of late.
Dire team pick.
But this is an interesting matchup. Fnatic, these are confident picks. You don't pick these heroes if you don't think you can outplay her. What's going to happen is he's behind. Shen's. Now you have an Alchemist on the table as well that can get out of control. And then you're going to have heroes like Disruptor.
5
They
seconds
don't kill Alchemists.
remaining.
Together, they're not going to kill. Top of that.
Reserve time.
And now it's becoming clear why Fire Dragoon take out that OD
I
damage and
speak for the cheese.
Fnatic now
Radiant
maybe looking
team ban.
to have Ohio play it.
Wow, this is looking really interesting. I mean, first of all, how are you just gonna like drop an Alchemist in the 4th pick there? Also,
It could be Ursa mid. Ursa mid against Alchemist is. But then again, you know, the lanes from both are fairly
10
interchangeable.
seconds
So I think a lot of this is
remaining.
going to come down to who
5 seconds
Nature's
remaining.
Prophet is great. The Shadow Demon can't contest Treant. Shadow Demon
Dire team ban.
can't arrow and he can't trade either. It's a really solid pick. I also don't think that NP. There's no catch right now on Fire Dragoon outside of Disruption. Moonlight Shadow
10
you could, I guess, get
seconds
some catch, but we're
remaining.
talking about like a hard initiate.
5
Bat Rider, for example.
seconds remaining.
Could be a decent.
yeah, and it does feel like it's at least the potential to outplay him. Whether or not Ohio is going to be able to maneuver those tree in perfect positions that they're not, going to get the arrow connection or not. That's something we'll have to see a little bit later. To me, though, it also feels like, I think just in general, taking an Ursa after a Juggernaut feels like a strong move in general. You're talking about a confident move. In Rage, taking away that, giving them that damage reduction, you also have the ability to strong against him in lane. All those things feel really good to me. We're kind of getting a little bit of audio that's coming in. Apparently Totino's Pizza Rolls are going to make their appearance at the
be
Boston
fair, I
Major
love
Qualifiers. They're
Yeah.
delicious.
That was actually
Dire team pick.
really solid last bans here from both. I like the SF ban. They know that high ground is still going to Fnatic or start Shadow Fiend. Okay, there's your push.
Radiant
So now Fnatic's
team
game plan has
pick.
become abundantly clear. Straight up 5-man snowball push you. Pugma is amazing. doesn't have to commit. He doesn't have to spend that, okay, I'm putting myself in danger to do damage. It's no. Creep wave is there, I blast it once, I run away. Talked about Fire Dragoon not really had a whole lot in the way of catch, but it's going to be on a timer. Like, Fnatic need to win this game relatively fast. 30 minutes, 35 minutes, maybe.
Time. 10 seconds.
Because then you're getting into territory where the Alchemist is pretty much 6 slotted. You're going to have to worry about Juggernaut. Shadow Demon scale as well, because... So yeah, Fire Dragoon needs to stem the tide, if you will. Fnatic, they can end the game very quickly.
Well, and now a last pick Venomancer coming in. A great way to be able to deal with that high ground defense that we're talking about. So should be very, very strong. Just going to quick couple of looks at these settings to make sure that everything is coming up okay. We should be live and ready to go. Again, the very first game of the Southeast qualifiers for the Boston Major, and I'm excited. I think that Fire Dragoon have built a lineup that has a chance to be able to go into the late game against, like you were saying, and a Venomancer last pick seems like a strong hero to be able to hold that high ground. Is there any downside to having this hero? I mean, assuming that it's going to be played part of like an aggro tri-lane, or how are they going to lane this here?
That's really my question. Because in order to stop Pugna, or like Pugna from taking your high ground in the very early, you kind of have to gank him. If you don't gank him, he's going to end up getting, like, level 7 is really all you need. Points in the blast are going to be go down all the outer tier towers. And again, you don't have to really block. And tier 1s don't even have backdoor protection. Even if the creeps aren't by the tower, he can just go blast it to grab it. There's a lot of ways that you can apply pressure to the Fire Dragoon. And if they don't get the advantage in the snowball's going to start. The first thing that's going to happen is your tier 1s are going to die. Then you're going to lose Roche. And once you lose Roshan, you pretty much can't 5 versus 5, and then they're going to have to rely on Mirana if she can manage having Acid Spray, having the Plague Wards. That's going to be like primary forms of defense. I would say if they can defend their high ground, or if they can somehow get kills, those are 2 ways that they can do. But Fnatic, obviously, I'm kind of favoring them, because, if these 2 teams I thought were equal, I would probably favor Strat, because I know Fnatic are, that I would say they probably have the
We're gonna have to see if you have that inaugural pause, just making sure that all the pings settled out, and only have a couple of these predictions. I had highest net worth as Mushi, because it's Mushi, but I guess that's another point to talk about. We don't know how this team is really gonna look. It's a relatively squad. I guess we'll just have to see how it ends up working out, but is there a hero that you feel like most...
I would say Ohio.
Ohio? Okay.
I mean, when you're playing a momentum-based lineup and you have a Fury, it's going to result pretty much off cooldown. I mean, the other thing he can do is save it for ganks, but I suppose either playstyle probably fits the game. On one hand, you have a Nyx who's going to be throwing out the Nature's Wrath can secure you a kill, whereas if you keep the lanes pushed all the time, then you maintain your map control. So you could pretty much argue for both Bananas Gambit. I'd say Ohio's price.
Player with highest total magic or pure damage done to heroes by 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Gee.
Probably Mushi.
Yeah.
Or maybe even Jug if he gets spin on somebody.
Oh, that's a good point. So the question is, like, does Ohio dodge the arrow?
I'd still say Primushi. If he hits like 1 or 2 random blasts, that's probably enough to put him for 10 minutes.
Yeah, that spell is so good. We're still on Sprout because apparently Nature's Prophet's a hero. But yeah, scaling up really well. 325 damage at the max level. Against this lineup, I'm assuming it's going to be an Alchemist mid. What's the skill build for a Pugna? Do you just keep on maxing out Nether Blast?
Yeah.
Is it any points in early on into Nether Ward, or do you try and take the Decrepify to...
You always get 1 value to Decrepify, pretty much every time. I'd say there's very few situations where you go anything other than 4. But I suppose if you're like playing against an Ursa, maxing Decrepify could be valuable because it increases the duration. But obviously he has the hero on his team, so or it doesn't increase the duration anymore.
Wow, just the damage. All right.
Yeah, definitely. That shows how much I play Pugna, right?
Shows how much anybody plays.
But this hero fits really well in the niche that they needed, which was a hero that would guarantee them high ground with very low risk. And I think Pugna's a really good fit for that. The other thing too is it puts a lot of pressure on Fire Dragoon to either, you know, dominate one of the lanes really hard, like maybe mid. And then if you can do that, then maybe you can survive long enough. But sometimes Pugna, you know, he doesn't even need items to get through the tower. He gets to the tower and his team's the tower is probably dead.
You know, and it's interesting because we've been seeing a resurgence of Pugna getting picked. At least in the pro scene, still I think Pug is absolutely a dead zone. But Sylar's been playing it a fair amount as well, even sometimes out of the safe lane, depending upon how they want to do it in the China region. We've been seeing some in the support role as well. I'm kind of wondering, with those steady buffs to the int gain time and time again, one of the ways that we saw with the supports was that you would kind of play like a Skywrath Mage where you just empty your mana pool and then go Suicide and then come back with a bunch of other Nether Blasts to throw out, or just even the Ward, and it's really kind of an interesting style of playing the game. I don't know, what do you think about the hero or his potential to become one of those top tier heroes? Is that a thing, or do you think it's always going to be a situational pick?
I mean, his value is very obvious, like what he brings. The Nether Ward can be devastating in some team fights, yes, but I think the problem with Pugna for a long time was the pace of the game and how aggressive people were playing. So first off, I think he can only ever really be picked 4th or 5th. Because if you pick him at too early of a stage in the game, there's a lot of ways where you can just destroy him. Like Heavy Roam owns Pugna, sure, he's fast, but the reality of it is, if you catch him with a stun, he's pretty much going to explode. He has horrendous strength gain, he's very squishy, so the ideal situation for him is you're with your team and you're sieging. That's like his happy place outside of laning phase, where he actually does alright against a lot of different heroes, but I think he fits a situation like Fnatic have currently, where they have a lot of ways to control the map, but they don't really have a lot of ways of pushing. I mean, Fury and Trees are okay. Ursa does no damage to towers. Disruptor does no damage to towers. Nyx does no damage to towers. They needed a hard-hitting, tower-hitting hero, and, you know, Pugna fits that bill.
You know what? They did just spot that Ursa head by, and they might have even spotted that he was missing an item slot right here, which would have been a ward. So there is some ping up on this high ground. So I'm a little bit curious if Fire Dragoons do realize that there might be a ward in this area, and if they go for some D wards. Yang does have a couple sentries on him. It'd be a pretty nice little pickup if they were able to get that. And well, it is looking like they're going to be sticking the Venomancer down bottom solo. Do you think that this is a lane where he can find stuff against the tree, or the Nature's Prophet?
I think they just want to shut down the Ursa. I think that's the bigger concern. Because like we talked about already, shutting down Mushi is kind of nice on paper, but if you think about it, if he has levels and he's able to blast towers, and he's doing his job. Whereas if you shut down the Ursa is the one who secures your Roche, which allows your team to snowball, which is what this lineup is made to do. If it can't snowball, then there's no point in having the Ursa. And that's why you can see Fnatic are already dodging. I think that really what Fire Dragoons want to do here is they want to put the hardest lane possible against Raven to make sure that he doesn't get a good start. And likewise, you don't want to lane the Ursa against the Juggernaut necessarily unless you're outnumbering him in heroes, because melee versus Ursa is not always amazing.
No, definitely. And they do stick the Jug up top, which is going to mean that it's still the Ursa solo against the Venomancer. A little bit of fancy footwork going on over here to the side, as well as AU was spotting out the placement of the ward. Not sure if they are going to drop a sentry ward over there as well, but at least at the start of this game, it's feeling like Fnatic have gotten the lane that they've wanted, and they're also going to be able to have access to this pull. Do you think that Fire Dragoon is worth it for them to switch it up, or are they just going to feel comfortable with this laning setup as it stands?
I would be pretty uncomfortable if I were Fire Dragoon right now. I don't like the idea of giving an Ursa a free lane. Especially since, like, in this safe lane especially, they can deny a lot of experience from the Veno. Like, you can already see they did a pull, denied a whole wave. Like, this hero is going to be extremely low level. Middle lane too.
Yeah, a little bit of action up here top. Ohio is actually going to get wrapped around on that first blood, and they don't quite find the kill mid on the Alchemist, but they do get that Nature's Prophet up top.
Yeah, aggression simultaneously in 2 lanes there. I mean, it's nice to kill Ohio, but in reality, when the laning phase breaks down, he's going to find farm. So even if he dies like 2 or 3 times in lane, I'm not really like overly concerned for him. It's more just about getting the EXP. And if you want to compare like who's potentially getting more out of the lane, even with the death, like Ohio is going to get a heck of a lot more, I think, than this Veno. So rotation's still coming out here from the side of Fire Dragoon. Just seeing if they can make anything happen here towards the middle lane, but it's I don't know. I think they're just going to have to bide their time and wait it out and see what happens.
Well, they do leave the regen rune over here bottom, realizing that there's no way the Veno goes to spot that one out, and already the Alchemist has gone top, so they'll have access to that after a little while, but it is worth noting that we haven't seen another one of those pulls come out. They do a bit more damage onto Raven down here bottom. It feels like Ben is actually having an okay time here, in spite of the fact that he was getting hurt pretty significantly early on. What do we see as like another chance as, well, yeah, he is going to end up just dropping. They find the kill. Mushi on top of it.
This is not normally a duo of heroes that you would expect to get a kill. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking that this Alchemist is taking a whole heck of a lot of harass than maybe he shouldn't be taking, which is putting him in a spot where a Nyx gank can actually kill you. Because that was a level 1 Nyx, I think, when he's like, no one dies to a level 1 Nyx gank.
Yeah.
That cannot happen.
And it looks actually like they're going to be able to be in a good position going forward here as well. I mean, another Impale gets thrown out there. They're trading off bottle charges even to make sure that AU is topped off, as the Disruptor does deny himself to a stack of neutrals. But, I mean, this is a kill potential again. If he walks back in with Spike Carapace, it's a really easy setup for an Impale.
It's a low-level Carapace, though. I mean, at level 1 Carapace only stuns for 0.6 seconds. It's like, it can be useful, but I think what they're doing is most of the time Mushi throws out the Decrypt, and he's actually leveling it to increase the amount of magic damage that the Alchemist takes. So this is a niche situation where having Ward doesn't really help that much because you're not really expecting any real big team fights to break out. And leveling the Decrepify allows you to burst the hero that much harder. Oh, moving up towards the top, body blocking the trees as well.
Nicely played there, and they're going to be able to bring down Ohio again. So another kill, but like you said, biggest deal in the world. Already Ohio has been able to get to level 4.
This Alchemist.
Pretty comfortable. Oh, Alchemist not so comfortable. Pugna finds the kill again mid, and I would definitely take kills on my Nature's Prophet in exchange for the Alch.
Oh god, yeah. That Alchemist is like their saving grace. If the Juggernaut can't... So, Juggernaut's really good in situations where you're fighting these small skirmishes because Blade Fury's strong. Okay, hold on a second. Might be a dead hero.
Yeah, the rotation in, and well, the TP out, but the glimpse back, and Ben is going to fall. And this might even be the tier 1 tower going down with Nature's Prophet here, or at least some damage dealt.
Yeah, but the problem is, like, Fire Dragoon can't really react to this. Like, what hero on their team is going to be able to do anything? Is mid again.
Back mid, they're going for it. Catch the Impale. Oh, the Alchemist gets stunned as well, and another Nether Blast. They do get the disruption, so the might end up just killing him off regardless. The arrow not going to connect onto Mushi, though he is dropping low and actually going to pop the Invis rune. Mushi, what a player. Get out of there.
Jesus. Okay, this is getting real bad. They might get the kill on the Nyx, though. He's always out of mana.
Oh, he does have the Spike Carapace, yeah, and well, they're not going to find him. Meanwhile, Mushi going to walk back in and life drain WL! Oh, Mushi, that man had a family.
Well, remember that thing where I said that Fnatic can snowball really hard with their heroes? That's kind of happening even earlier than I thought it would happen. That's really, really not a good sign. And the Furion, in conjunction with the way that they're just rotating between middle and bottom lane, I don't really think like Fire Dragoon have a way of reacting. Like, we saw how like useless a Shadow Demon disruption was in that situation. I mean, that disruption pretty much killed him.
Yeah. Because
he could have walked away. Mushi would not have gotten another blast off, and I don't even think they were going to commit more to that. He disrupts him, buys time for Mushi's blast to come off cooldown, kills his Alchemist, then dies anyway. They don't get a return kill. This is a total disaster, honestly. The only thing that they have going right now is the fact that the Juggernaut's getting farmed, but you know, in reality, how is this team going to contest a Roshan attempt? How is this team going to stop, you know, the tier 1s from going down? You mentioned that push bottom. It's like it was 5 minutes in when that tier 1 died.
And now they're trying to get some more vision here onto the Venomancer. Does have the 3 points in ward, so at least is going to be able to contest this stack.
Oh, he broke the smoke as well. Jeez. I don't even think he knew he broke it, but Mushi walked bottom rune and revealed the Shadow Demon and the Mirana.
They're out of there. Don't even care. And I mean, the Nyx is even able to zone them out here. They are just going to run at this Alchemist. Nothing. No response. Mushi, so far 5-0 at 6 minutes in. What a player. And down bottom lane, they're going to dive after Ben as well. Juggernaut kills Ohio up in the top lane, but it looks like Demon might go down himself. They still have Raven in the area. A glimpse available as well. They're trying to stack up the poison and are chasing down Demon. He does have a TP scroll and looks like he will be able to make his way out of there. No mana for disruption.
Yeah, really nice play there. Evacuating, realizing that it's too easy to get kited out in that type of situation. I mean, they're desperately looking for kills here.
God, and every time Alk is gonna keep on getting life drain in the mid lane. He does keep Pugna away, but it looks like they're squaring up for another battle. They have a Sprout in 3 seconds, but with a lot of these wards on top of them, not feeling super comfortable with it. And yeah, they're just gonna back out again.
This has got to be like the most awkward aggression I've seen in an early game, but I guess we're watching C Dota, right?
Oh, there you go. That's the thing that happens, apparently. But yeah, it's kind of weird. It's like I'm going to aggressively place my wards in your general direction. And
I mean, who sees a level 1 Nyx can kill a hero at like 3 minutes into the game? Like, that just doesn't happen.
Well, we talked earlier about going into the late game and Fire Dragoon having a good lineup for that. Can we give them some silver lining here? Is there anything that they can fall back upon that's going pretty good for these guys?
Well, if the Alchemist hadn't died 4 times in lane in like 5 minutes, I would say that, you know, there's a good shot that this hero is going to get to a critical mass where the lineup of Fnatic, barring the Ursa, just doesn't really have an insane amount of damage output to really be able to kill him. But the problem is when you're behind, and you know, Mushi building the way that he is just for the mass magical burst, that's not even really going to matter. So normally at 8 or 9 minutes, if you're having an optimal laning phase, you have your armlet pretty much already done if you're going like the standard armlet radiance build. As top lane, Juggernaut.
Very low, and Ohio's going to rotate in, does go for the spin, and it's going to almost bring down AU, but yeah, they just trade off the aggro, jump forward, there's the Star Storm finding that kill, and Ohio might actually go down as well. Yang, he's had enough of it. Wants to chase down the tree man, drops the ward as well, but not in range.
Yeah, that would have been really nice if he could have gotten the bonus kill. Would have been well worth the TP, just in terms of the trade. I mean, he is level 6, and he's got enough money to buy his Arcanes if that's the path that he's going to take, so... In some ways, like the Mirana leveling up, maybe making your way towards Aghanims, that can add a lot to the D-push potential, which I think will help, obviously, Fire Dragoon stay in the game. Because that's really what they need to do. It's not about necessarily winning these big engagements or whatever. It's taking, like, trades, even if they're even, then Fnatic are still losing out because their team is the one who's meant to be pushing the pace. But they've already lost their tier 1 mid, they've already lost their safe lane tier 1. Nothing really in response so far in the way of tower pushing. But if they can just hold on, they do have a shot.
Well, and it's kind of interesting, too, because it's not an incredible net worth lead at this stage in the game. I mean, 2,000, it's kind of rough, but it's not the worst that we've ever seen. And they're going to go for a smoke play now, and you talk about pushing a tower. They are getting set up for that, but at the same time, Roshan is starting to go down. Looks like Raven will be able to get this. Do you think it's worth losing the tower for getting Roshan?
I don't know if they're going to lose it. I think they're actually doing it fast enough to where they're going to fight after killing Roche.
There's the disruption, arrow to follow, next on the AU, but Spike Carapace doesn't take the damage. They pull back in the Shadow Demon. He is going to drop here. And yeah, you're right, it does look like that siege of the tower might be halted in its tracks.
Yeah, I mean, maybe in that situation, if they were pushing the safe lane tier 1, it would have been a little bit easier. But when the Ursa's off map, they should have known that Roshan was going to be on the table, because pretty much all you need is like level 4 and a Morbid Mask and you can kill that thing. Raven obviously having safe lane farm, he's going to get it. The Night Shadow popped here.
They're set up and will run into that Ursa. They spot him, pop the stun as well, turn on to Ohio, and, well, they do have vision now, gonna get a couple right clicks off, and he's gonna fall, but on the other side, AU finds the stun onto Yang, disruption as well, gonna keep that Ursa out of the fight for the moment. That stun does come out as well onto the Alchemist as they try and chase it down, already having lost the Shadow Demon. No great save is available. It looks like the rest of the side, the Radiant, they missed the arrow onto the Ursa, and that's gonna be a dead Alch. So just like that, kind of an awkward exchange.
I don't know why he didn't just run away.
Right?
Like, man fighting an Ursa when you have brown boots, or sorry, he has treads, and a helm of iron. You're not winning that man fight, bro. It's not happening. You just gotta bail. Like, they could have walked away from that. Only lost, what? Actually, they wouldn't have lost anything, right? Because, well, looks like we're gonna see another dead hero.
I'll try to TP. It was a valiant effort.
He tried his best.
But a little bit rough in the end. When you're down a good hunk of experience and gold, and now you ended up losing your Alchemist multiple times in the mid lane, you gotta take what you can get.
He's died a lot. Oh, this ward, bank dividends. Shut up.
Oh my god, Impale with the Wrath of Nature. That is just dirty. And he almost has the blink if he just wants to go that route, or he can go whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if he actually does opt for the Blink Dagger. It's really nice because if the Alchemist is farming a lane, you can Carapace blink in, you can Vendetta Carapace, and just stun him for free. And then you get the guaranteed Vendetta hit into the other stun, and then, you know, potentially Ohio TPs or whatever. But yeah, they have a lot of setup, and this is the ideal situation for Fnatic, because they wanted the tier 1s dead. They wanted the first Roche. They pretty much accomplished 2 of the 3 steps. The third one is just maintaining that map control.
Oh, and another Impale does not connect this time, but they will get the glimpse back, and, well, Yang's starting to drop very low, and 1 life drain. It's going to be a dead Mirana. And this is just, everywhere you look, they're getting picked off, and, I mean, can you reestablish map control in any way? Like, how do they handle this?
That's the biggest thing. Like, when you're really behind against a team that really focuses on picking you off, the best thing you can do is D-ward. So if you see the 3 aggressive wards that Fnatic have, they have 1 on the hill where Fnatic, Mushi, Demon, and EU are all walking by right now. If they restrict that vision, then it makes Fnatic less free to just run all over their side of the map. And they did get 1 ward, I think, down, yeah. WL just de-warded another hill ward on their side of the map.
This is shaping up to be an awkward one. They popped the Omni Slash. Well, it doesn't actually do all that much damage. Venomancer in the middle of all of this is turned on to Demon. They are going to bring down A with 1 final touch. And now Ben turns back around, catches the Gale onto 2. They also pop the Moonlight Shadow. Raven might start to take a little bit of damage here as well. And alright, let's take a moment to talk about this.
That was anticlimactic.
I mean, it's looking good for them so far. They picked off the Nyx. They got the Veno ulti onto 3, right?
The Ursa still has Aegis.
Okay.
Demon has Glimpse. I think they probably, yeah, they can probably get some kills. The unfortunate part is WL's not 6. So if he had Demonic Purge, I'd say this would be a really, really good fight. The other thing is Arrow's down. Starstorm's going to be up really soon. Yeah, it's iffy. I suppose if the Juggernaut can get close enough to follow anything up with a spin, they could probably get a...
Nobody on Fnatic has TPs either, and Venomancer is able to run people down pretty well if they get the touches.
They can get the chase, for sure. And Ohio can't TP. They need to get a kill here.
See how it goes. They glimpse back 1. Shadow Demon not going to be with them. They turn their sights onto Demon, and he'll be that sacrificial lamb that goes down. But as you said, everybody else just runs away.
I mean,
to start.
That 2 for nothing is, yeah, more than you can ask. Want. And again, it's all about re-establishing the map control with MTG. You want to make sure that all the wards that could possibly be up are going to be down. Like the one that's freshly placed by Fnatic when they were on the retreat outside of the jungle. Like, honestly, just buying a gem and sticking together is fine.
Brian getting ran down. They do throw out that Demonic Purge just to ensure the retreat. But yeah, that does feel like it might be the play. Is that something that you can just do right away, or do you have to keep the Alchemist farming away from everybody else as well, or...?
Well, if it were me, I would just group up for like a minute or 2, go through the jungle with a gem, get rid of all the wards, and then put the gem on the courier, and then go back to farming. Because what that does is it means that Fnatic no longer can just look at the map and say, oh, we know that this support's here, we know that this core is farming this lane, we can go for this kill. Then you have to do a lot more like calculation. You can't just go for these.
She up front and center. They throw the Impale out, just out of range, and, well, Arrow Disruption, a little bit off the mark there to connect onto the next step. Brian still chasing Starstorm, gonna connect, and it does find the kill. Back in the middle lane there, looking for more now, onto the Alchemist, Raven chasing as well. They won't find anything else as the Aegis does expire. Fnatic decide to retreat.
Still getting a kill, and Fnatic not really able to find anything in return. That's what we need. I mean, if they keep this up, and they keep themselves in the game, sure, there's still probably going to be 1 or 2 more Roches that go the way of Fnatic more or less for free. It's because of the position that they're in, goal and experience-wise. But if they can hold the tier 2s for a good amount of time, going from tier 2 to tier 3 is a very steep curve in difficulty. Breaking the base is what actually ruins a lot of these types of lineups, and that's one of the main reasons why they wanted to pick up the Pugna, because it's not as all-in of a style of push, because you can just go back and forth and have to just sit on the tower and hit it. But yeah, you know, they're doing what they can to stay in here. I mean, Veno's got 2,000 gold right now.
Yeah.
The Juggernaut's not insanely farmed, and, you know, the Alchemist, he's trying to make his way back into the game, but...
Oh, they turn on the Demon, Demonic Purge out, and he's going down just like that. These little plays, pick-offs here and there, and, you know, I'm also looking at this Pugna build. He went for the point booster and now is going back instead for a Yule Scepter. I guess, is Mushi feeling indecisive here, or do you just need that point booster to stay alive?
I think the point booster is a value purchase on Pugna. We already talked about how strength gains like a dismal is 1.2 is awful. So having something that adds to your durability is good. He'll probably eventually turn that into an Axe, I would imagine. Bottom lane, Yang just gonna leap away from the Sprout, but I don't think it's indecisiveness. I think he needs Yules because of Juggernaut. He also needs it because, you know, Alchstun, you can disjoint that, arrow, all that stuff. It's a really nice utility to save himself from those situations.
Okay. Well, 4 heroes moving through the jungle now, and they are going to be looking for Yang. Glimpse as well as Static Storm available. They do get the leap away, turning back into him now with the Star Storm already up. No, Yang is just gone, and they need to get the heck out of here before taking a couple more. Yeah, the rest of the side of FGG back out.
Well, it wasn't a horrible loss. I mean, losing a support is not... In a way, it's not enough. Like, Fnatic need to continually apply this pressure and keep doing more. Looks like they're gonna potentially go for the Alchemist. I assume he's just waiting for the Chemical Rage to wear off. He really wanted to go for the Carapace play, but with the level 2 Chemical Rage on him right now, they need a heavy hitter, and Raven has made his way up here, along with Ohio.
Oh yeah, here they go, just immediately upon them, and well, there's no great way to get away from that one.
Yep.
For an Alchemist, do you think that it's important for him to stay a little bit closer to home and just try and farm that safe jungle, or does he have to make those types of plays?
There comes a point where you kind of have to accept the fact that one of your cores is going to die. Like, when you have 2 or 3 cores that all need farm, and you're playing against a lineup that's based off of picking, then you're going to lose a core. If you don't farm the lane and you don't push the lane, then you're never applying any sort of pressure on the map. And if you're not applying pressure on the map, you're slowly getting asphyxiated, you're not being efficient, you're not getting yourself back into the game. So yes, risks like that are necessary.
Yeah.
A lot of people will watch that and go, oh man, that guy just fed. Yeah, but if he doesn't die, then somebody else on his team is dying. And if he's not pushing that lane out, then Ohio's up there, you know, like he is right now, just shoving it into your tier 2 tower. And guess what? When he gets there, it's damage that cannot be repaired, right? It's just damage dealt to your team. So yeah, he pretty much does have to play that way.
Well, it's a little bit unfortunate for side of Fire Dragoon, and maybe gonna try and find some type of way to punish Ohio here, as Yang is pump faking the arrow, doing a fancy dance move down there. But yeah, it looks like Fnatic are gonna try and go in again. Man, the Nyx Assassin in this game has just felt so value. A has been playing a great one.
Yeah, I actually can't believe how much work he did in the early game with Mushi mid. Like, they destroyed that Alchemist.
Oh, Glimmer.
This is a stun here.
Yeah, they are bringing in Ohio now, and I guess that's the caster curse. What a great player this is the stun, but they will throw out the Veno ulti, and well, it doesn't really follow up anything at all there.
Yeah, I mean, he did it because it's not really that long of a cooldown. He knew he was dead. Maybe it forces 1 or 2 heroes back to base. You know, it's one of those plays where you're like, ah, well, what are the odds that I get another 4-man ulti anyway, right?
Pad the stats, damage dealt, that's great.
And just so we're clear, Nyx stun is actually super hard to land.
Right.
You can't freaking target it.
No.
It ain't no lion stun.
Absolutely. Well, and now with an arcane rune on Mushi, the real damage is about to be dealt to this tower, and look at how quickly it falls. In literally about 6 seconds, that thing is going to drop it. Looks like the wraparound is there. Demon spotted out. AU dropping the stun. They do get the Static Storm onto several, and Blind able to make it out last second. Disruption saving a life, as Raven is also going to get Omni Slash as well as Ohio. And a little bit of indecision there from Brian, and he might end up not being able to bring down Ohio. Still, the Alchemist is looking for a follow-up, and looks like they aren't going to get it. But one thing I wanted to mention to you as well, outside of just that fight, the Alchemist has gone back for Sanj. What do you think about this more battle-oriented build for him?
It's probably a halberd, right? I would guess.
It seems like it. What do you think about that?
I would consider the Ursa the biggest threat to him. So in that sense, if you have a threat on the other team that's pretty much the only hero that can kill you, and you can farm at the rate of an Alchemist, then buying an item like halberd, I would still say it's, you know, it's alright. It's not going to be the item that tips the scales super heavily in your favor, but he's also the only hero who can reliably frontline. Because he's just that much tankier than, like, the Juggernaut, for instance, who will literally just die in a spin to Ursa every single time. Because Ursa's just going to sit there in a rage and punch him. You know, spin doesn't mean anything to an Ursa.
Right.
As Roshan number 2 falls here in favor of Fnatic. We'll see if the Alchemist build ends up paying off. If it's an S and Y, I would be shocked. It is an S and Y. Okay.
You are shocked.
I do not agree with an S and Y even a little bit in this situation. Halberd is like the only item that I could say is passable because, you know, most Ursas nowadays, they don't want to build BKB, right?
Yeah.
Like, no core player says, man, I really want to buy a BKB this game. They're like, god damn it, I hate buying BKB. This is the most boring item. All I want to do is punch people.
Alright.
And then they delay it as long as they can. So if you know that he's going to delay the BKB by buying a Basher, just buy a Halberd.
Well, and speaking of... Well, I guess not a halberd, but of a hero that's dying, it's going to be Mushi finding another kill, and now they're going to chase further forward. They've got the Venomancer yet again. Oh, that hurts. Well, what are they going to be lacking? I mean, obviously they're going to be lacking the counter push with the Radiance, but is there anything you gain from a Sanjin Yasha that he's like, this is the item for me?
I actually just completely disagree with that item.
Okay, all right.
I would literally never buy an SNY in this game, and I love the item. I love SNY.
Well, we'll see how it ends up working out for them. It's worth noting also the Muerta position 4 has been able to finish off her Aghanim Scepter at 22 minutes. So really good timing there. Maybe has come at the cost of the other core's farms, but...
I think it's still worth it though, because if you look at the way that, you know, FDG's lineup is built, they don't really have a lot of heroes who have tremendous wave clear. So you need a hero on the team that's going to be able to keep those waves pushed out, because otherwise, you know, look at Ohio. He's been very diligent about keeping whatever lane that's starting to push towards the river, he's down there, you know, and he's pushing it back in, making sure that there is no space for this team with its multi-core lineup to really get off the ground. So if you want to counterplay that, you need a hero with some mobility who has wave clear. Muerta fits that criteria. So in order to sacrifice a little bit of one core's farm in order for him to get off the ground and running, it can actually buy them more time in the game to get the cores the proper items that they need. Now, their Alchemist bought an SNY, so I'm not sure how I feel about their chances right now.
Right.
But, you know, there's always the chance that Fnatic get a little bit over-aggressive, dive too far. I just, you know, I don't know what kind of team they are right now. Are they disciplined enough to just have Mushi blast that tower down? Or are they going to go for kills because they know they're really far ahead?
That's really the big question, and I think it was a problem that we even saw with TNC, AU, and Jimmy playing on that squad, where they did sometimes go a little bit too ham and got punished for it. We'll have to see if that's sort of what the relationship is between, you know, bringing in Ohio and Mushi, who obviously have a lot of experience as well, and where the shot calling brings them there. But you do see down here in the bottom lane, Shadow Demon and Muerta setting up for something against Nature's Prophet, and there might be a decent shot for a kill.
Oh, he's dead if he gets caught.
Okay.
Like 100% dead. Because the thing is, he's going to get soul catchered, he's going to eat a triple star storm and an arrow to the face. He's got an Orchid, so he doesn't have much in the way of survivability. He's pretty much going to... Yeah, he's going to go splat. Unless, does he have trees out?
He does have a couple
if he has trees out, he can actually micro the trees in front of the disruption, and then hope that he doesn't get arrowed. That would be the ideal play. If he can do that, then he might live.
I'll have to see if he's got quick enough fingers and if the internet is not going to be a problem for him. One for the Hand of Midas Orchid build. We haven't had a chance to talk about him. What is his eventual role going to be? Like, sometimes we see going for super split push oriented Nature's Prophet with the Orchid. Is it just strictly battle now? And maybe, like, do you even think about going back for a Hex?
I think Hex is always good on Prophet, mainly because, you know, you are sort of transitioning into a right clicker no matter what. Because just, you know, he's intelligence based, you know, Hex and Orchid offer you that. Obviously you can build into Bloodthorn as well. I would say he probably gets BKB eventually, and then Hex is also on the table. Things like Assault as well, because no one else is going to buy an AC on his team. He can buy one very easily. And I think they just want to make sure that he has a mixture of survivability and damage to be able to either contribute to fights or split push. I don't think he'll buy a Book. I think Book's too all-in-y and gimmicky in this stage. But yeah, I like BKB, Assault, Hex, all very, very good choices.
Look, he's already got one. It's good to go.
Oh yeah, he does. He's got the Scythe of Ice thing. Yeah. Wasn't that from like TI3 or something? TI2? I can't remember.
It seems that seems relevant for that era, definitely.
Yeah, because that was back when Bulldog reigned supreme, the Nature's Prophet. Actually, I think Ohio was the guy who he was interviewed, and they said, "How did you learn how to play Nature's Prophet?" And he just literally said, "I watched Bulldog." That's what I was like. All right, well. He's the best prophet in the world, can't really fault him for that.
That's great. You love to see when sort of pros from around the world give that respect to each other and stuff, and it's wonderful.
It's like they'll never, well, I guess depending on the player, most of them won't admit it.
Right.
But they'll be like, I learned from, you know, so-and-so.
Definitely.
We all have our, you know, our pride.
Absolutely. I was born ready to play Nature's Prophet. That's what Ohio really said, and
yeah.
I had affinity with him. Well, interesting skill builds and item builds and everything builds in this game. A lot of the Pugnas that I've seen have gone back for like Aether Lens and then eventually into Aghanim Scepter. He did opt to go instead in for the Yule Scepter, which we already talked about needing against the Jug and such, but also Guardian Greaves, which feels like another. It fits within the ethos of the way they want to play this.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's at this point it's like 5-man, kill the buildings, and just restrict map control. So in that sense, he has pretty much every core item he needs. I would say for breaking high ground, Aether Lens is probably one of the most underrated items on that hero, because it allows you to blast from a safe distance. And when you can do that and not commit your hero, it makes it pressures the enemy team, right? Every single time. I'll see if Ohio can live here. Yeah, he's gonna get the tree and block.
Oh wow, saving the arrow. Good play.
It was about as good of an effort as you could make from Ohio.
They are going to end up losing that Shadow Demon. AU finds the punish. But yeah, Aether Lens, being able to siege from far away, keep yourself safe. It's a long range on that one.
Yeah. But yeah, the Aether Lens and the Pug now, I would actually think it's still alright to go for it even this late. Because again, it's the high ground that's going to be the biggest test.
Have to see indeed which way they want to go with it. Looks like Venno now is probably building back into. I mean, this is going to fail. Has a little bit of a smattering of. Or wait, Dagon as well, right? Staff of Wizardry?
I don't think he buys it. Why does he have a Staff of Wizardry?
There wasn't a ninja patch, right, that we missed?
Wait, I don't know what Mr. Gorman's shop hotkey is. Let me double check.
Okay. Oh,
Because
well,
I'm pretty sure Vale does not use the Staff of Wizardry.
if anybody's wondering, also,
Yeah,
Drasco's
it
playing on LD's account right now.
Dude, he doesn't have, like, anything. How does he play Dota? I can't even edge pan. How does this even work?
No, you're not supposed to have edge pan when you're observing stuff up. Yeah, it's all weird.
Know that. See, I don't do my own observing. I'm spoiled. Most of the time I have scripted web buffs, and whenever they miss something, I flame them.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's the dream.
That is the dream.
Well, back into the game now. We haven't really missed a whole heck of a lot in our pursuit of figuring out why the Venomancer has a Staff of Wizardry, but I mean, assuming picking up this other circlet here, it's just gotta be a Veil.
Yeah, it's gonna be a Veil. He might have thought that he wanted a Force Staff, and then said, okay, Force Staff's not gonna help, as there is a very dead Alchemist.
Oh, nice disruption. Still a little bit of a hard one to fight into, and it's gonna be able to walk away from that. Life Drain, Omnislash, turnaround onto the Guardian Greaves, though, keeping everybody very healthy, trying to run down Demon, and that Nether Ward is just doing work as well. They do burn through the Aegis, but everybody on Fire Dragoon is so low, Brian getting turned upon as well. A really good Glimmer Cape save there from the Venomancer, but it was never going to be enough, and now turned upon another time. Raven finds the kill, so 2 dead. Burned through the Aegis, but it feels like a high price for it.
It was a high price, but if you consider the fact that if there was no Aegis there, I think that the Fire Dragoon would probably walk away from that fight even or better. Like, the fight started off, it looked like the Alchemist was going to die for sure. Disruption came in from the SD, very nicely timed, because it allowed the Moonlight Shadow to go off. There was detection, but unfortunately there was no follow-up decision. Walked it off, got the re-engage, which ended up killing Raven. And then they end up losing a couple of heroes.
Good. Bear Man really mad and up in their face. A little bit of an awkward play there as they drop the Sprout on top of the Alchemist. Now pulling them back into it. They aren't going to be able to find the kill onto him. My god, that Shadow Demon died quick.
Yeah, that he just exploded. Yeah, Ohio has opted to save his ultimates more or less for any kind of kill. It's kind of the Nyx, Fury, and Synergy that we were talking about during the draft, and he just, at this point, is favoring the kill potential over keeping the lanes pushed, because, I mean, let's be honest, they're all pushed anyway. He doesn't even need to pop Nature's Wrath to keep him out anymore.
Alright, ding ding, round 2, they jump in and pale, but, well, Raven decides he does want to go. Static's on as well. Glimmer Cave's gonna keep that Alchemist alive. No detection that time. Just coming far too late, and, well, now Life Drain, they don't quite, they do get the kill! Oh, Pugna right on the edge.
That was actually, he popped Chemical Rage, but there was a Nether Ward down, so he basically didn't regen health, and then like 1 tick of Life Drain killed him because of that.
Oh, that hurts.
That was mega unfortunate.
Well, no Aether Lens needed as Mushi decides to go back instead for that Aghanim Scepter, and now every time they're played, God, Nether Ward is so good in these fights.
It's really annoying too when you can place it outside of the enemy base because it's 1600 range. So you can put it like in the trees and it still hits you when you're sitting behind a freaking tower. It's like the most obnoxious thing in the entire world. Like that Veno is gonna walk outside of base, ult, and pretty much die. Like Nether Ward just hits unbelievably hard.
I mean, that's usually what Veno does anyways, right? You ult and die, but usually you end up getting at least another spell off. This time it's it's a hard life right now. And he did finish off that Veil. Did he? He still has the Staff of Wizardry. A Force Staff feels like it could be pretty good here.
Yeah, it's the Force or Eul's. I mean, those are pretty much the only choices, and nothing else even makes sense. I would say Force Staff's probably a bit better, because it's really good against Ursa and it's good against Imps. So like when they get impaled or a blink and a fast comes in from Raven, you can just force them away. And that pretty much stops like their whole line of aggression, right? That's another thing too about Fnatic's lineup is if the Disruptor's not there, Force Stats destroy their heroes. Because you can force out of trees, you can force out of stun, Earthshock, Decrepify, all these things. And once you've broken that range, you can just walk away. And they're like, oh, great, well, we're just gonna sit here and be mad about it. But if, you know, if Jimmy's there, then you're gonna get glimpsed or whatever, and you're pretty much dead anyway.
Well, I mean, and we talked about also, like, you know, late game potential of these heroes and what they're going to be doing. It is feeling like Fnatic are struggling a bit to break the high ground. They're winning the fights consistently, but we're not seeing a ton of damage onto those tier 3s as of yet. Do they need to change the style with which they play, or just wait for that next Roche?
No, they're just waiting for Roche. That's really all. I mean, Raven probably goes back for BKB. He gets the next Aegis, drops the stick, has full BKB, has Cheat, has Aegis, trend number 3, obviously. That should be enough to break base. Not, then Fnatic need to start panicking. I mean, oh god, there's so many cores, they're farming, this guy bought an SOY, we're losing, why are we losing? It's gonna be a little bit rough.
Well, and a couple of these items, like we talked about, BKB up on Alchemist coming soon. The Blink for Mirana also. It allows them to play a little bit more aggressively, I would say, in these lineups. It also kind of is interesting to me that we do see the Sheep Stick picked up by Future's Prophet. He's kind of been to the outside of the fights, throwing out more sprouts than not. Does this change the way that he interacts in these fights, just trying to get in, teleporting aggressively?
I think he's just going to be a lot more potent than Nick. Like having the Hex up and having BKB.
With me.
Had the money for it. That Ops to go in. Very confident that if I have the lockdown, then I'm gonna get. The problem with this sort of play is that you're going into it. You're not blinking it. So I think that in some ways, if you go this route, you're putting yourself at risk. When that happens, you don't have a team to back you up. It's very, very bad. Say he blinks in and he die, then his team has to decide to cut off the push, or we help them and we risk all dying. And that's a hard decision to make. Curious to see how Fnatic play around.
Second, and Paul also. A lot of experienced players in this one. Demon, Ohio, Mushi combination. How that communication works out for them as AU is going to go for the wraparound. They do scout out the Nyx inside of there, and, well, get away. Realizes that AU's over there.
The right idea. But the tricky thing is, you have more items. Stuff like,
oh, Raven, and you're going to get caught. Manta style, trying to get out of there. They also pop the Moonlight Shadows to be able to escape, actually, but
I was just gonna mention on that little skirmish in the mid lane and how items like that and Moonlight Shadow actually become better the later. Because the fact that people don't have room for detection anymore. Like, the Ursa can't carry dust unless he's threaded like a team. Okay, he does have a wand.
Oh, Brian! Oh, man, that was really close to being bad. And Ohio TPing in just came off the cooldown as well. Here comes that siege you were talking about.
Yeah, this is just a timing thing. It's around that 30 to 35 minute mark. This is when the lineup is at its strongest. They got all 3 Roaches, you know, they kept all the towers. Well, by keep I mean they killed all the towers. But yeah, you can see the tower just dropping lower and lower. Mushi comes in, he jousts with the Nether Blast. And this is why it's so hard to stop it, because they can't go on the Pugna. If they go on the Pugna and they commit to a fight and they start getting, you know, pulled outside of the base, then it gives Raven a free initiation. He's like, okay, I'll take a hero out, or I'll force a disrupt. you know, at that point, you're pretty much committing to a full-fledged team fight, and that's not really what they want.
Dodging the arrow there as well. Fancy footwork, but Raven does need to be careful, like you talked about. Make sure that he doesn't dive in too far. But they're doing a decent job of this. At least the power does go down to about a third HP at this point. I think they're going to go in for another round. I mean, how do you stop this if you're Fire Dragoon? Do you need to go for a wraparound play, or just hope that they overextend?
A wraparound is probably the highest success chance. It's not.
Ryan, you're a piggy. Stunned up again. Can they find the kill? He turns back around and, well, Glimmer Cape pulled back into them again. They jump forward with the Ursa. He's a little bit far away, but they've already lost the Jug. Raven stunned for the moment, turns onto Ben. He is going to drop Life Drain, making it work. The Impale connects onto 3. Oh no! Fire Dragoon, they're all going down. Raven loses the Aegis, but 3 heroes out of there. Another Impale. My goodness gracious, they're all over him. Fnatic, I think, might have punched their ticket through to this one.
Yeah, not looking great. Not looking great for a Fire Dragoon, but I mean, this game kind of went maybe not as expected just because of how many times the Alchemist died, but expected in the sense that, you know, Fnatic were running a very snowball-y sort of lineup. They wanted to prioritize Roche, they wanted to kill towers, they pretty much hit all their marks, right? They never really had much of a hiccup. I suppose maybe the biggest one is during like the early mid game, they lost a couple of heroes here and there. They made some trades. You know, Fnatic's lineup doesn't want to trade. They always want to be taking. They never want to be giving anything. And unfortunately, MTG gonna potentially get dual raxed and more as they lose that poor Shadow Demon just turn into Vapor.
Yeah, it's again worth reiterating that Fire Dragoon, they're a team that did just complete the open qualifiers. They finished it about 8 hours ago and literally were waking up to play this game. Woke up, hopped on their computer, and started playing. How would you feel like they played though in this round? Granted, it's not completely over, but it's feeling very close to it. Like, did they put up a good show as Loki gets caught upon and Alchemist turns around on the Ace? They're not doing this. Ryan, he pops mid style, but they can't really stop it. And Ben also going to get turned upon. Netherward doing a ton of damage. Go back in onto Raven. It's a rough life.
Not gonna do it. Yeah, but in regards to how they performed, I think that they had an idea of what their plan is that, you know, draw the game. If they did manage to do that, it would have probably been. But just the amount of aggression they applied towards how punch just that punch
Raven again is going to turn and start to bring that out. That is the second death. They bought back on Ohio.
That's a lot of gold. They're getting Megan, so.
She and AUI is on the prize, and that is the thing. Is this a lineup from Fire Dragoon that Mega's
they're both. Unfortunately. I mean, I don't mean fatalistic.
Don't want to mislead people. Drama. It does look like they're really disruptive. I mean, it's a lot of gold, like you said. That's 5,700 roughly.
Yeah. Well, that's also including the buyback, right? So yeah, Ohio's spending that. But he just realizes, you know, Megas, all they really have to do now is wait. You know, eventually all the huts are going to die, the will die. It's going to be a slow and agonizing death, unfortunately, Fire Dragoon. And I really like the way that Fnatic ran their lineup too. There was a lot of synergy picks. I think they were very, very reliant on patience. If that Alchemist, for whatever reason, gets a good start, then you have this scenario where you're not going to be able to kill him without committing. And if you can't do that, then you got problems.
They have problems.
That man's had a lot of problems. Yeah.
Rough life. Yeah, definitely impressed with A's play. Bushi also, he put together a nice little game for himself. You know, 5 kills, he's 14-0-9.
He hasn't died as a pug. That's always. That hero is a piece of paper. Like, touch him and he's dead.
He has a heart now, so.
Well, not anymore, yeah, but at the beginning of the game, he was super squishy.
GG, well played. It does eventually come out as Fire Dragoon. They put up a valiant effort against what some consider to be one of the best teams in Southeast Asia. And in the end of the day, best of ones, they're rough, but Fnatic take the victory.
Yeah, it was well deserved. I really like the draft. Very creative, something